Aroma so fragrant but fruity.
So sweet.
That's love, joy and peace and kindness and patience. The lover of your all of my life, so patent. 2 hours in
people. Next episode of Storytime Sundays. So if you guys had watched the previous episode where I was talking about my education experience, you would know that I was going to continue to talk about kind of how my job search, my job history has been, kind of how it's been in my career, and how I was one of the lowest paying staff. Literally how I was one of the lowest paid in my workplace, and I was getting paid 19k, bruh, and my colleagues were getting paid higher than me. What? And how I found out was really annoying. Let's start from the top. So if you guys have watched the last episode where I was talking about my education experience, you guys knew that it was a bit rocky. I wasn't really sure of what I wanted to do in the education world. And it's no surprise that it was very similar to how it was in my career. The craziest thing is that in my whole career, only one job has asked me about my degree. Literally only one job has asked me about my degree. One job. But it was because of that company. They were very strict with that kind of thing. So we did need a degree. Every other place. So can you imagine? I was there sweating my neck off for a tutu and it didn't even matter. You know, that's actually so mad when I think about it. But anyway, I digress. After uni, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I literally applied for anywhere and I tried everything that I could. I did like a £7 an hour job. I needed government clearance. I think it was like BPSS. It didn't come clear. It took ages for it to come. And they ended up letting us go. Then that company I worked for, the customer service job, for about a year, that was the role where I had the stalker. So if you remember the first episode of The Stalker, that was that workplace that she stalked me, and that's the reason why I didn't really have the best answers with how to deal with that situation, because you know it was kind of like my first decent job outside of uni. And then in between then, I won't even lie, I've done jobs where it was like 1 to 3 months. And did anybody remember working for a company called GoGen? Fam, that workplace, yeah, honestly, it was in Dalston. And you know what's mad? You go, I remember, yeah, you bust a left and then you're there presented here with this like massive silver door, almost like it's reminded you of prison. And then even when you go in, there's no lift, you have to take the stairs, and it's mad stuffy. I remember working there during the summertime. Oh my days. And then the systems went down and they said, okay, if any of you leave, you're not getting paid. That's oh my days. Honestly, the way that these guys will monitor you is so mad. Like, you know, they're on, imagine, yeah, you've got the headset on like this, but I don't even know what I'm doing. So imagine, yeah, you got the headset on like, oh my god, what am I doing? So imagine, yeah, you got the headset on like that and you're like, oh, welcome to GoGen, thank you for calling. Are you interested in, and you be doing that, right? So as I'm looking, you be doing that, you be talking, and then the supervisor is like, ah, goodness gracious, man. I'm so glad I'm out of that job. That's probably one of the worst places I've worked. Anyway, digressing. Did all sorts of manners of jobs that I can find, and then getting onto the job that I worked for 19k now. So I remember I applied, went to the office. I did say that I wanted 23k. Mistake number one, 23k for that role. So it was like an operations role. For that sort of role, yeah, it's supposed to be offering me at least 28 to maybe 45k. That's sort of the market rate for that sort of operations role. And I asked for 23k. So that was my fault. Mistake number one is that I didn't know the market rate of what my job is. I'm going to explain further how to know these things, but I didn't know that, so I asked for 23k. So the person doing the interview was not really sure if they could actually give that to me. Red flag. You can't give me a job for 23k. I end up getting the offer, and my manager now says, oh, because of the budget, because of constraints, because of this, because of that, all this hoo-ha, they were like, we can only offer you 19k, we're not able to extend it, blah blah blah. In my head I was thinking, this money is low, but you know what, the job I was in, I hated it and I needed to leave. Like, in that job that I was in, I was stalling, trying not to get fired. Literally trying not to get fired. I was stalling because I really couldn't stand working in that place. And I was like, you know what, even though they said they can't extend it, I did say to them, okay, upon satisfactory completion of my probation, can my salary be extended to 23k? And they agreed. Mistake number two, I didn't get that down in writing, which I'm going to bring up a bit later on. Cool. So I get the job now. So I'd say 2-3 weeks into the role now, we hire some more people, and these guys, they hired them on permanent contracts. So I just happened to be in the hotel where we were all working. I went past them and then they stopped me. One of them stopped me. He's quite blunt, but I like him. Like, we get along really, really well. And you know, he was just very polite and professional. He was like, you know, sorry to be rude. Apologize if I come across as blunt, but you know, I'm really interested to know what your salary is. And I just told him straight, I said 19k. He looked at me, then he looked at everybody else who he was with, because I'm cool with them as well, so I didn't mind them knowing. He looked at them as well, then they looked back at him, then he looked at me, and then he says, do you know how much we're all on? And I was like, no. And he says, I'm on 24, they're on 23. And I said, oh, maybe it's because, you guys are, more experienced, I didn't really have any experience in operations. He says, we don't either. Okay, so is that how it is now? I was vexed. I was so angry. I said, wait, you don't have experience, but somehow you're getting paid 3-4k more than me. And yet somehow this budget has increased all of a sudden. I don't get it. Where's this budget now? Because this budget was something that I asked for, and then now they're now giving people with more money. I'm like, what happened? I don't get it. Cool. So obviously I'm vexed. I go to my manager. I don't say it in this way, but I go to my manager and I'm like, bro, why are these men getting paid more than me? I want a salary increase. He says no. Cool. Then I go to his boss and he says, unfortunately, we just don't have the budget for it. And again, because this is the first time that I've actually been in this avenue of salary negotiation, I did not know how to actually deal with it. Cool, so get on with work, do what I have to do normally, blah, 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 blah. Then you remember how I said with mistake number 2, that I didn't have that satisfactory probation completion to the 23k, how I didn't have that in writing. So I bring that up in our probation meeting. Manager says, we don't have that in writing. Fuming. When that happened, I didn't back down. I was fuming. I remember, I had changed managers because I was doing something else. I was doing a different project. And I explained to my manager, I said, I'm frustrated. I'm like, why am I getting 19? Everybody else in the company is making more than me. They're making 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I was one of the first people in the company, and yet you make me pay this rubbish pay. So then now he goes to one of the bosses, and then they now have a conversation with me. No word of a lie, we're in that meeting for like 2 hours, trying to prove why I'm worth the extra 4k. And I'm like, why? After that meeting, do you know what I did? Every morning I'd apply for jobs. And then I went to another company that would pay me what I asked for. In the company I was earning 19k. He was like, we went through all of this, we done this, we done that to kind of stretch the salary, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, you don't rate me. Because first of all, in the beginning, you said there was no salary, there was no budget. But a few weeks later, magically, there's space in the budget for other people. And then there's space for them to have even bigger salaries. Do you know what I mean? I get it if these were more experienced, or if I didn't negotiate. I get it. If I didn't negotiate or these guys had experience, I would have never complained. But the fact that I asked for 23, I get 19, even though I have interchangeable skills, I've got transferable skills, I know how to do interviews well. I remember I was vexed. So kind of the moral of the story is, and then what's so funny now? It's like, I can't take anything lower than 35. That's the craziest thing, because obviously it's been a few years obviously since that's happened, but where I'm at right now is, I'm in a way better position. I know my worth and I know what I can go for as well. And the 2 biggest issues that I did was I didn't have that little confirmation in writing that, upon satisfactory completion of my probation that I'd get a salary increase. I didn't write that down. And then the second one, which was probably the most important one, is that I didn't know the market rate for how much they pay people in operations. That was my flaw. If I had known, I would have never applied for that job in the first place. I'm grateful because obviously it's given me the access to actually loving operations. It started from that job. Without that job, I probably would have never gone into operations. So I can't bash it too much, but at the same time, I would have never applied for that job. There's so many jobs I don't apply for because the market rate of the job is so low. After uni, my recommendation is, if you do not know what to do, try and join a startup company. You can use working startups, you can use otter.com, and literally just look through and see what to apply for, because there's a lot of startup roles in there. Some of the salaries are not that great, but I would still encourage you to negotiate, especially for somebody that's just finished uni. You know, you don't have any debts, nothing really lying around. You can kind of use that to get to where you want to be. But that's my recommendation for those who don't know what they want to do. If you know what you want to do, go for the graduate schemes, go for the graduate jobs, you know, even try message people on LinkedIn professionally. You know, there are definitely templates online that you can use if you just do a quick Google search. Literally look for startup roles. They will help you to try different things within the company. And then at some point, if you've got a good manager, they will ask you, what do you want to specialize in? I've had that in 2 jobs, and that's really helped me to understand what I really like in a company. That's number 1. Number 2, know your market rate. And the way to do this, go on Glassdoor, find the company. Almost, I'd say 98% of companies are all on Glassdoor. Go on Glassdoor, search the role, search the company, and then within that company, you can see the salary section, look through that section, and you can see what they're paying. If you can't find what you're looking for, i.e. let's say operations coordinator, and they don't have anything with operations recorded in the salary, you can then look at other jobs and you can look at that market rate and you can assess whether this job will pay according to the market rate or not. That's one of the best ways to know if you're wasting your time. For example, a business analyst, the pay range is like, it's a crazy range, again depending on the industry. It can range from like 30k to like 120. So if they pay something like 60, 70, 80k, then you know for your role, they'll probably pay something decent, right? If they're paying like 30k for business analyst, avoid it, because they're going to pay you lower. Do you know what I mean? They're going to pay you lower than operations. I'm keeping it real. The probation satisfaction, have that in writing. It's so important. Anything that is contractually abiding, anything that is legally abiding contractually, please have that in writing, because when the evidence now needs to be presented, you can now say, oh, this is something that you emailed to me on the 14th of February 2020. Do you want to have a read? And they have to abide by it. If not, you know, you can get them sued for quite some money, but obviously you go to HR and you do all the legal proceedings that way. But yeah, that was the video. Some other little nuggets here and there. So with how I worked around the whole job hopping situation is that I didn't put everything down on my CV, because that's going to cause red flags. If they're seeing that you jumped from one job 1 week, you jumped from one job 2 weeks, you jumped from one job 1 week, consistently, let's say within a short time, it's going to give red flags, because the company's going to be like, well, you're not reliable. So don't have all of that on your CV. I would say try and maintain good relationships with people at your company, because they're going to be really useful. A company that I've left 5 years ago, I still use literally a couple of people from there as my reference, all because of a good relationship. So that's very important. And also, what do you do when they notice that you've only been at a job for 1 month? So in the early stages, the way I was getting around it was, you know, I was saying to them that, you know, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in uni. So I've been trying out different avenues, been trying out different roles, been trying out different industries to see what I like. You know what I mean? And then you back it up by saying that within this role, you know, I've seen that you guys focus on XYZ, which aligns with my morals and values. Plus this role is this, which is something that, you know, I've enjoyed doing at this company and that company. So I really believe I can add value, and I want to become, you know, let's say a manager of that position in the next 1 to 2 years. That's my goal within this company. So that way they've seen, okay, cool, he's job hopped. It is a little bit of a risk. However, it looks like this guy is here to stay. Do you know what I mean? That's how they see it. And also, you need to have a bit of a likable personality when you're doing the interviews. So that is my advice, guys. This video could be literally 30 minutes long, but I didn't want to make it any longer than that. But yo, me being paid 19k, my colleagues being paid 23, 24k, I was fuming, angry. Oh my gosh, I still remember that day like it was yesterday. And even my colleagues were like, "Rah, how are you getting less than us?" And even they were like, "Rah, they fobbed you off." But yeah, guys, yeah, this video is becoming bare long. I don't want this to be a long video, but guys, honestly, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped you. I really hope this has allowed you to kind of understand how it works in the industry. There's so much I'm missing. There's so much that can be put into this, but again, I don't want this to be a long video. If you want this to be a part 2, let me know, because again, there's so much I can talk about. I can talk about how you know, I don't even want to give it away, but there's so many things I can talk about. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Every subscriber, every view, people watching my YouTube shorts, people watching my TikToks, people watching my Instagram, people on my Twitter, retweeting, liking, everything. Honestly, I don't think I would get tired of saying this, but from the bottom of my heart, I really love you all. Especially, I big up my mum, because my mum watches my videos. I remember dropping her off to the airport and she said, yeah, I love watching your videos. You know, you're really confident in front of the camera. I said, mommy. So, well, this is for you, because I know you watch this. Love, mom, love you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna catch you in the next one.
Light, more fire, bro, it's the same thing. The word make your flame shrink. Cause there's light in the word, and the light that's fire, that's how the chain link. What shall I render, Lord? Your mercy so tender, and your grace so great. Arrow spray back to sender. Sin never sly and so slender. She'll suck you in and set you up if you ever try friend her. I'll put a ring on light.